Hello everybody, here's the latest update for today. I decided to take this out for just some high-speed fun runs up the street, and it ended up being a what not to do session. And the primary thing from today's what not to do section is don't make your limiting straps out of thread. And that may sound obvious, but at the time it seemed like a genius thing to do. Well, it wasn't, and I broke them, which allowed my rear suspension to hyperextend. And when it did, the back of the truck came up, the axle stayed on the ground, and it snapped the output shaft off of the transmission, which I'll try to point at that right in there. That snapped off, and the end of the output shaft from the transmission is still stuck in there. So I'll get that out later on, and I think what I can do is split the transmission, flip it around, and I believe that this is a symmetrical piece, and I can actually use this side on the back. And if not, maybe I'll just try it in front wheel drive and see what happens. I don't particularly know why it would matter whether it's a front wheel drive car or a rear wheel drive car. But yeah, I do. I don't want it front wheel drive because if I decelerate too quickly, these axles will lock up and the thing will flip. So I do want to make sure that I flip that around. I still have parts on the way. Still waiting on the mofo gearing. But one thing I've done today to sort of mitigate the overextension of the suspension is, instead of using thread, I have added these zip tie loops, and I intentionally did not crease them so that when it does extend fully, see how the ends can sort of straighten out? That gives it a soft extension point at the end, where if it was rigid it would just bang open. And this is a more progressive way to hyperextend. So I will never have a hyperextension again that can break my drive shaft. So I'll flip that around, split the transmission, find out if that's not a symmetrical shaft coming out of both sides of that, and give you an update in a minute. With regard to the output shaft, I have some bad news and some good news. The bad news is it is not symmetrical. The front half does stick out quite a bit farther than the back half. I'm talking about the front and back halves of the transmission. The good news is the output shaft does stick out farther, but with the Gladiator drive shaft, there's still enough play here that even at full compression, I don't have any binding in the drive shaft itself. So I have my rear wheel drive restored, and I'll just get a new shaft for this and fix it eventually here after the speed run to turn it back into a sand drag car, because I want four-wheel drive for that. But for the top speed run, this will be fine. I still have at least one output shaft going to the rear tires now. So right now I am just waiting on my new gear set and the bearings to go in the axles. Those things alone should really ramp up the speed. Also, on the way is a 3S battery. So with those three things, I'm estimating a speed of around 27 miles per hour, maybe more. And I've got some other plans beyond that if it becomes necessary. But I think 27 is going to be about it for this particular combination, but you never know. We'll find out later on when we actually run it. So that's all for the update today.